just got to my new hotel, just kind of a quick 12-hour layover basically. I'm excited to head back to Tampa, get back into a routine, really figure out, get involved with church, maybe some volunteering, figure out the job scenario, if I should look for another position or just continue to build my programs and go from there. Still got some editing to do on those, but at least they're up and running where I could make money on them. Haven't yet, but we'll get there. Let's see, just in wrapping this up, there's some thoughts I've had that I want to leave you guys with, and really one of the big ones is just leave the Philippines be the Philippines. Like, I am ready right now. Anything I want to go back and analyze, like the breakup, my ex, all of that. I've just realized I've had a lot of like split loyalty between basically my life in the Philippines and my life in Tampa, or in general in the States. And I was realizing, like, I've given so much divided loyalty to traveling and all that. And I'm starting to realizing that one of the main things in life that I wanted was time, money, location, freedom. But you still, when you go there, are stuck with the same problems, same issues. And so maybe I need to have a bigger purpose than that moving forward. So I'll talk to you more about that here briefly as we move forward. But let's exit, let's go get some food here, okay? Thanks.
Lunch?
Did they answer?
Just one.
You have one near the window. Is that okay? Thank you. So, yeah, basically I just realized that a lot of times my focus has been here with my ex, relationships, a lot of traveling overseas. And I just think it's time, as the lure, for now anyways, wears off a little bit for that for me, is to just really focus where my feet are grounded back in the States. A lot of people probably be like watching this, if they have been following, be like, why is he so hung up on a girl overseas? Because it really spoke to my internal monitoring system, my internal attachment style, the anxious attachment, nervous attachment, that kind of thing. And it just really triggered me, and I think she triggered a lot of deeper things for me that needed healing, and since then have been able to work on it. And even meeting with like Davina's actually somewhat of an avoider too, and I was talking to her about her style and what I think would work best. And it's interesting because it was like learning what I learned with Jen, and then actually putting that even into play with Rain, with Davina, as I got to know them. And it's almost like I kind of got to get a second, third chance with a similar personality type, somebody different, and just kind of scratch that itch. But something that I noticed too is this wasn't really so much about Jen. It was about rewriting a wrong, rewriting a discard, rewriting like a new narrative, right, for my own internal nervous system, more so than it was about the person. And so I kind of, got my final answer, got the abrupt, no, pardon me guys, I got cut myself here, but the abrupt no, and just kind of be able to close that chapter. And so I think the biggest thing now is just focusing on where I'm grounded back in the States and building my life there, getting back in a routine, getting back the dollars, where they need to be in the bank account, and then just going from there with my nervous system being more intact, and then just kind of letting the Philippines just out of sight, out of mind almost, like not giving so much focus into that. So those are my thoughts on what I've kind of learned on this trip, to just start a new chapter, and I really want to focus on just where I'm grounded moving forward. So, all right, lesson learned. That's kind of what I've got for you guys today in the final last few hours of my trip here. All right, here I'm in the elevator, headed back up after some dinner, some lunch, I guess I should say, and yeah, just tired, ready to go rest for a little bit before my flight. I don't know, just kind of finishing up some of these thoughts. So, kind coming here to the Philippines this time, I felt like I was supposed to. Did I get all my answers? No, but did I get enough to basically kind of put a chapter end for this whole thing? And even with the ex, you know, and then coming back and repaving new roads, yeah, absolutely successful in that. May not have been exactly the answer I was hoping for, so to speak, with the ex, but you know, such is life. That's how often it goes. And when God removes somebody from our life, we have to be willing to just accept that. And then the other thing too is like, what do we focus on? Am I focusing on traveling, chasing girls, you know, attention? You know, for some people it could be money, it could be fame, it could be whatever. And just coming to the realization that, you know, you gotta have bigger, loftier goals and purpose for life. And not just, and for me, it's just been throwing myself into travel as a distraction. And I think what I'm realizing here, even with like getting to know Rain and Davina and some of those others, I don't expect that to go anywhere. I mean, how can it? You know, really, if you think about it, how can a Philippines relationship and US, I mean, it can work in under the right circumstances, but especially when you're dealing with avoidant type women, which I've seemed to always attract the avoidant types, lately anyways, you know. And so it was good that I was able to learn that. And like I said, even the other day at lunch with Davina, I was kind of describing what kind of relationship probably worked best for her, and asking her, you know, and one of the things was, you know, just she wants her space. She doesn't want to feel pressured. And obviously a lot with relationships, they are pressure. But what I've learned with Jen and dealing with even like Rain and now Davina, I was just like, man, like, okay, this is something I was able to learn and kind of incorporate into this. But again, I don't plan on pulling the fantasy of the Philippines like I did with Jen back into reality, back in Tampa. And you know, Jen was a temporary landing spot, kind of a plane crash, so to speak, but not a final destination. And you know, I think really what happened is my wires got crossed in the rejection. And then something that hit me the other day was maybe one of the reasons she was so difficult there the last few weeks when we traveled was maybe she was already checked out. I know in relationships typically women check out before the guy does, even when they're physically there, and they can even, you know, grieve the person even while they're still there. And what I wonder, and you know, discussing kind of these thoughts even with like ChatGPT and getting my thoughts all out on paper, so to speak, is again back to the fact that it wasn't about winning her back. It wasn't so much about her, it was about what it activated for me. And then wanted to rewrite a narrative, rewrite the rejection. And that's one of the reasons I felt like I wanted to come here. And I wasn't able to get like wasn't able to get her back. She obviously continued to say no, she, you know, not going to meet with me. And even the other day I extended to give her some airline miles that were in her name that I had purchased, or like she's got a credit voucher, and she rejected that. And it's like, okay, you know, no problem, cool, fine, moving on. And to me, it was just like, okay, you know, I've done my best, and then I'm done looking at it through rose-colored glasses. I'm actually done looking at what I want to be done at all, and like I just be done completely even looking at it, right? Like just letting that chapter with Jen, I don't need to go back and dissect it. I don't need to go continue to try to figure out what went wrong with somebody over in the Philippines when, you know, in reality it wasn't everything that I wanted it to be. But after the rejection piece, then you tend to look back and rose-colored glasses, or giving them more credit. And even looking back at old videos recently, I was like, whoa, I was like even saying in there about her being an ice queen and all this stuff. And all that to say is, I'm rambling right now, but all that to say is realizing, just shut that chapter. It's done. You don't need to go back and relive it and dissect it. It's done. You're able to pave new inroads. You're able to learn new things, and you can just let that be, okay, and just move on. And don't try to pull people from the Philippines into your reality back in life, back in, you know, the U.S. So I'm ready to both feet on the ground, full force, go into my life in the United States. So, and then, man, just realizing again that kind of helped bring a little bit of aha awareness was that Jen probably was already on her way out when when I'd come back to Siargao. I mean, even before that, we had some icy things happening, or some dicey things, I should say, with some what I felt disrespected, and then some distance, and then creating space, and then showing up, and there being a little bit of, I had to warm back up. But then when we had our first fight in Siargao, looking back and remembering that she was so quick to like want to pull the trigger to leave. She's like, maybe we're better off, maybe I'm better off single. I was like, whoa, that was hurtful. Where did that come from? And now looking back, at the time I didn't see, but now looking back at that comment, oh, maybe she was just looking for a reason, and maybe that's why she was more difficult, because she had already determined in her mind that she was going to exit. So just my thoughts, but I'm ready to put that chapter to rest, and like I said, move forward. So, all right, end of rant. I hope that helps you some way, shape, or form to focus in on what you have to focus in on today. And it's time to really get refocused. So putting an end to this chapter here in the Philippines, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep traveling. I definitely know that one of my goals was time, money, location freedom, and now I'm realizing, like, when you go travel overseas, you still have some of the same issues with girls. You have the same issue. It doesn't matter how much is in your bank account. It's still like boredom, needing more, and that's what I realized is really diving into having a reason to get up in the morning, really having a purpose. And if you have that, life is more enjoyable. It makes sense. And I'm just kind of realizing that maybe I need to do a little bit of reevaluating on some things. So, and again, now that the nervous system is more aware, thank you for Jen and the past people that have made me more aware of that. Thank you for God for using that to better my life now and to heal me, and to just continue to grow those roots into being a better, more well-rounded man that's going to be able to be more of a secure attachment type partner in the future for somebody. And the other thing is just not, I guess, just being able to go all in with where I'm at. And I don't think I've allowed myself to go all in Tampa. No, I haven't, because I was still holding on to remnants of Jen or whatever it may be. And I think it's time to really dive into what God has for me there. Got a church now that I can get involved with, and so let's see where this all leads. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.